Hey, it's been a little while, but I'm alive, I promise. So, I originally started this podcast to fill a little bit more space in my streaming segments because I found that whenever I would be playing video games, I would go off on tangents and get distracted, and I wouldn't be able to actually focus on what I was doing. So, to eliminate most of that, I thought that I could just have a podcast segment where I can get all my jitters out at the beginning and then go through and actually continue the stream with the game. But I've now made just chatting a more permanent portion of my stream. I normally open with just chatting now, which has taken over that space that I would normally set aside for the podcast. But for whatever reason, my brain just had me dissociate between the two, even though they're pretty much the same exact thing, because I was getting frustrated with the idea of podcast topics. I felt like I didn't have anything that I could talk about, when in reality, every single time I went live, there was something new that I was talking about and something new that I was learning. So my friend from another podcast kind of helped me come up with the idea of repurposing some of these segments in my Twitch streams. So that's what today's episode's going to be about. Today's just going to be a little Frankenstein podcast of just some of the things that I've been talking about on my more recent Twitch streams. So yeah, this is me just getting my feet wet again with the whole podcast environment, I guess you can say. I definitely want to bring them back. I want them to be a more regular thing in my schedule, because even when I'm not live, it's a way for me to connect with my community and for me to be raw and truly talk about things that I love, that bother me, that just happen in my experiences. And I'm sorry that I took away that connection, but it's back. So I'll see you guys soon. I really need to get some sort of intro or something, just pretend that there's something funky going on here. So there's something that's been bothering me for a while, and it's something that I've wanted to talk about ever since, honestly, I started this podcast. Alright, so just a little disclaimer. Even though I shouldn't have to put this disclaimer out there, I'm in a relationship, and I've been in a relationship for almost 3 years. And as a female creator, I tend to attract the attention that I not necessarily am looking for. This is not a bash on other female creators, because I truly respect everyone on all platforms. But I'm just talking about from a personal standpoint. I don't want to over-sexualize myself online. I don't want anything that I do to come across as ill intent. I try to dress more modestly. Not that the way that I dress should matter, but it does to some people. I've received a lot of comments from both strangers on the internet and personal friends in regards to what I wear, because there's no secret. I'm a woman. I have breasts. It's just the way that I was created. So every once in a while, I want to wear a shirt that is a little bit lower cut, and I try not to do that on stream anymore, just because of the comments I've received from people. There was one day, for example, where I was doing a charity stream, and I wore a not super low cut, but I wore a tank top, and somebody came in, disrupted my charity stream for childhood cancer, and was asking if I was dressing for male attention and if I do this often. And I just felt like I dressed cute for the charity event because it was an event that I was hosting on my stream. So things like that, where people comment on the way that I dress. One of the biggest things that really bothers me about being a female on the internet is, even if I'm not posting for male attention. It's just automatically assumed that I am. I am not sexual in any sense when I'm talking to my community. I tend to actually watch what I say because I don't want anything to be kind of clipped out of context. There have been a few things that have been clipped out of context, but I try to keep it minimal. I don't want to be seen as a sexualized streamer, even though there are, like I said, some streamers that's their brand. Good for them. It's just not something that I want to be seen as, so I try to avoid it. But anyway, it's inevitable, unfortunately, because I don't have any reason to justify it. But I do receive a lot of direct messages from people on all aspects of social media. Some of them were vulgar than others, but I am not comfortable when people reach out and ask if I'm single, or that they get frustrated when they find out that I'm not. It honestly hurts to find out when a supporter is only supporting you in hopes that you are single and in hopes that you would reciprocate some sort of attention to them because they are supporting you. That's what stings. It sucks when people message me out of spite, upset with the fact that I am in a happy, healthy relationship because they can't be with me. I don't understand the aggression that I receive because of something that's happening in my personal life. I've also received countless messages and offers of sponsorships and affiliateships with companies that are promoting meeting other people in what seems to be like a dating sense. There's one company, I'm not gonna name them, but they reached out to me originally, I want to say on like Twitter or something. They DM'd me, and I got back to them, and I was respectful, saying, you know, I looked into what your company's about, and it's just not something that I would feel comfortable promoting since I'm in a relationship, and I don't want it to come across that I'm cheating, or that like, I just don't want any sort of suspicion to be placed on my loyalty. Not that that would ever be an issue, but I don't like opening any cans of worms if I can avoid it. But even though I went on about expressing how I was uncomfortable promoting this company and how I just didn't stand with its values, so I didn't feel that we would be a good match work-wise, they still tried to pressure me into being a voice for their company. So that made me even more upset because it felt like they completely disregarded my concerns, even though I very thoroughly expressed how uncomfortable I was with that sort of application on my phone. So this was months ago, and even though I understand that there are multiple people in marketing and multiple people that are trying to just represent the company and find creators to help promote, I received another DM from the same company. This time I believe it was on Instagram. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. This time I believe it was on Instagram, and they reached out to me. It was marked as like a, I think like a pending DM. I don't really know how it works, where it's like privated until you open it and actually respond to them. It's just like, oh, Instagram's holding it just in case it's like a spam or something. So they messaged me pretty much saying the same thing, like, hey, we'd like to work with you. We really want you to promote our application. We think that you'd be a great fit. And I have not opened it. I have not responded, just because I feel as though, like I said, I understand that there are multiple people in the marketing team that probably don't know that they've already reached out to me, since it's also on a different platform. But I don't want to respond to them because I don't want the same dismissive interaction. You know, I just don't want them to dismiss the fact that I'm uncomfortable and that I'm in a relationship and that I just don't want to work with them. They did message me again saying, hey, just making sure that you saw our message, like, we'd love to work with you, which I'm flattered because I don't get many opportunities to work with companies. But something that I keep seeing on Twitter is if a company is making you uncomfortable or you don't want to work with them, you don't stand for their values, you don't have to promote them. And I don't want my voice and my face attached to something that I do not 100% stand by. Because this company originally was marketed as a dating app for gamers. So the fact that I saw that their original intent was, hey, we're a dating app for gamers, and then now they're trying to market it more towards like, oh, well, it's not just dating, it's to make friends. I still don't want that just attached to me. Now, I know that it can get a little muddy with this situation, especially because I'm not actively posting like pictures with my partner and anything like that, because my branding behind BlindedBySilence is supposed to be me. It's not supposed to be my relationship. It's supposed to be me. Yes, I'm in a relationship. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I'm in love with this man, but that doesn't have anything to do with my content, and that doesn't have anything to do with the money that I'm raising for charity. It doesn't have anything to do with the games I've completed, the achievements I've completed, the people I've met, the name that I've built for myself. I love him. I love the support that he's given me. But just because I'm in a relationship doesn't mean I have to post pictures about it. And this is something that I've wanted to talk about since, honestly, before I started this podcast. But I've noticed a lot of female creators, especially on my Instagram, have been receiving the same sort of attention. And I know it's nothing new, but I've noticed some of them posting pictures with their partners showing, hey, I'm in a relationship. I'm putting this out here so I'm not receiving endless backlash from people because I'm not interested. My partner doesn't want to be associated with what I'm doing on Twitch. It's not that he's ashamed. He just wants me to have my own thing and for me to do it myself. He still supports me. He still lurks in my streams, chats with my viewers. He just doesn't need to have a face attached to my content. That doesn't mean that we're in a bad place. That doesn't mean that he doesn't love me. He just wants me to have my own thing. And I want people to respect that. On the other hand, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes with being in a relationship and being a content creator, because a lot of people don't realize how time-consuming content creation is, regardless of what you're doing, whether you're streaming on Twitch, just playing games offline, editing videos takes so long, making podcasts, editing podcasts. It's very time-consuming, and I've been wanting to do content creation ever since I was like 12. In more recent years, I've been trying to dedicate more time to growing on Twitch and creating content for Twitch, and I've realized that in order to get to the areas where I see a lot of other people, where I look up to them and I know that's where I want to be, it's difficult for me to balance how much time I have to put into content creation. I'm no longer in school. I don't know if I mentioned that in some of the older podcast episodes that I recorded, because it has been over a year since I posted a podcast episode. Once again, I am so sorry. So I'm no longer in school, but I am working full-time, and then I'm doing Twitch on the side. And Twitch in itself is like a full-time job, in order to just make sure that everything's working up to date, you're still relevant, you're making entertaining content. And at the start of this year, 2022, I went balls to the wall. I went so hard trying to just get everything done, as much as I could get done, as often as I could, because I was comparing myself to these more successful creators that this is all they do. This is their full-time job. So they don't have anything on the side that they have to worry about, where all they can do is just put their attention towards streaming and YouTube and podcasts. And I didn't have that luxury. Not only was I working full time, I also am in a relationship. I live with my partner. This isn't something that I could just close the door and avoid him all the time, because it started taking a toll on our relationship. So I became so invested in just putting out Twitch content and YouTube content and this new app called Hover content, TikTok content, just everything became so suffocating to the point where I just got locked up, and all I could do was just work on things, which is why now I'm very exhausted, and I've noticed that it's started taking a toll on my content Twitch-wise, because you can tell how tired I am. But it really started taking a toll on my relationship. Even now, I'm still trying to balance my relationship time and streaming time, because Mondays through Wednesdays, I don't see my partner. I don't. I might see him for like 10 minutes, but it's not enough. So I've come to realize that it's very give and take, where yes, when I'm working on Twitch stuff, I need to put my heart and soul into it, but when I'm not, I need to make sure that my other aspects of my life aren't also suffering. And I know that this just got really dark. Like, we're completely fine. Like, there's nothing wrong in our relationship. But just seeing the stress it put on him, it really, like, just made everything kind of come to terms in my head, where I really need to learn how to manage my time better and how to express my feelings, and not let myself just get stuck like I did. This is a really dark episode. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I need more water. But it's real, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. Especially the things at the beginning, in regards to people. And I know that that's something that's not going to change, just because it's just what is out there on the internet, unfortunately. But it's something that I at least wanted to get off my chest, and at least make it more known that this is happening, and that I'm not comfortable with it. And I've made videos about it on TikTok, more so just kind of laughing at the fact that people are asking me for OnlyFans and asking me for nudes and asking me for things that I, of course, am not comfortable with at all. But then it also comes with the retaliation of people saying that I'm lying, which is shocking to me, because I'll receive, oh my goodness, it got so bad at a point on Instagram where I would post a picture of myself on Instagram, and then every single post, without fail, I would get at least 5 DMs from people that do not follow me, asking me for just vulgar content that I will never post, ever. But I was getting so fed up with the just disrespectful nature of people thinking it's okay to reach out and ask for that sort of thing. And I know that there are creators that do have other avenues like that have an OnlyFans, that have things like that, because they're comfortable with it, but I'm not. And I recently saw a tweet from a creator that I like to watch, BB Jess. She's very popular on Twitch, but she posted a tweet pretty much saying the same thing, where she's like, well, let me take a step back and give you a little backstory on her. So there are creators that this has happened to, unfortunately. It's disgusting and it's terrible, but there are people making fake OnlyFans accounts and fake just sexual accounts that are pretending to be creators and pretending to be known women on social media. And this happened to BB Jess, and I believe she got everything resolved, but anyway, people keep asking her for OnlyFans and nude content and lewd content, and she keeps posting saying, if you see anything, it's not me, I don't engage in any of that, like that's not me, and I will never create that sort of content. But she went out of her way to be like, people keep asking me for these, so instead of promoting me, I'd like to promote you. If you're a creator that does have an OnlyFans and does have all of this stuff and you feel comfortable with that sort of content, link it below. Like, self-promote here, because I'm sick of people asking me for that. And I thought that was so great that she was like, hey, you know, I'm sick of it and people keep asking me, so I'd rather use my platform to promote other people so they get off my back, you know? And I was like, oh my goodness. But at least like that, it showed me that what I'm going through isn't not common, but it's just not talked about as much, especially from a standpoint where, you know, I'm uncomfortable. I don't really like that sort of thing, and it makes me uncomfortable just from personal experiences that I've had in the past. I've had some very interesting dating experiences that have kind of shaped me to be very cautious as to how I respond to people. So it puts me in an uncomfortable position, because I know if I say no, or if I'm rude, or if I come off as rude, I'm just not gonna hear the end of it. And people are scary, man. I don't know, like, what people are capable of, so I'm always super careful with what I say. But these DMs, although some of them may be thought of as being good-natured, I'm sick of feeling like I'm only wanted because I'm expected to be single, because I'm not actively posting photos with my partner. People just assume, hey, she's single, and you know what, I'm just gonna go after her because she's single. Like, that's how it comes across to me. Not that my content is good, not that I am pretty, it's just the fact that I'm single, therefore I'm thought to be an easy target. At least that's how I break things down in my head, because there have been tons of people, I've had a few people join my Discord and publicly call me out to where I had to shut them down in front of everybody, saying, hey, I'm in a relationship, so like, don't come in that strong trying to hit on me. You're not gonna get anywhere. And it's honestly kind of creepy. Like, just don't do it. So just things like that. I really hope that with this podcast it would at least be more recognized. I know by no means it's gonna stop. I wish it would, but it's just something that I really wanted to get off my chest. And even with I know I keep bringing up creators, but it's just something that I've noticed where successful, and I'm gonna use that word very loosely. I'm talking about success in compared to where I'm at. So a lot of creators that I've stumbled into their streams, they are very sexual, and I know sex sells. I know that that's just something that always kind of works, but it's not something that I want to utilize. I want to see how far I can push the limits of myself without trying to reach the sex appeal of others. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to dress the way that I want. If it's deemed as overly sexual, then whatever. But just like, I don't know, it makes me uncomfortable to feel like I have to act in such a way that isn't myself. Like, I'm trying to stay true to myself whenever I stream. So some days are better than others with that, obviously, but it's just not me. And for the longest time, I felt like I had to be somebody that I wasn't in order to be successful as a content creator and as a streamer, but that's not the case. And although it may take a little bit longer, I am happy that I'm staying true to myself, and I'm happy that I'm not feeling pressured by other people's success to form myself into something that I'm not. And I really hope that it stays that way. And if it doesn't, you can hold me back, hold me to this podcast. But yeah. I think that's everything. If I forgot something, I'll add it in later, but thank you guys so much for listening. I know it's been a while, and I've missed you. I hope you've missed me. I know you could definitely tell that as I got more comfortable, I started to open up a little bit more, because it's been a really long time since I've recorded a podcast, and I miss them. I've gotten into the habit of talking to myself, which I guess is just a trait now that I stream a lot more often, but I've gotten into the habit of talking to myself, and there have been so many times where I'm like, I wish I just had a microphone on me. And I know I have my phone, but I'm normally on TikTok or something. But I would go on these tangents for so long about things that just frustrated me, or things that I just didn't understand. And then for whatever reason, once I hit that recording button or that start streaming button, it just leaves my head. So hopefully I do these more often. I will do these more often. I've been inspired. But thank you guys so much for listening. Definitely keep your eyes peeled for another podcast episode coming out soon. I'm going to try to bring back the bi-weekly sessions. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, I have been rambling a lot more on my just chatting segments. So I'm going to try to repurpose those a little bit, just to kind of get my feet wet with podcasts again. And I'm sure that as time goes on, I'll have more things to talk about. But for now, it's nice to see you again.